The galaxy was quiet, too quiet. For thousands of years, peace had ruled the stars. Empires had risen, fallen, and risen again. Trade flowed between worlds. The Galactic Council had almost forgotten what war even felt like. But on the far edge of the Orion Rim, something woke up. A small listening post floated around a dying sun, its scanners cold and silent. The crew there was bored, half asleep, when suddenly, a sharp pulse broke the static. It was a signal, ancient, repeating, and written in a language no one had heard for 10,000 years. Captain. This code, it's Terran, the captain frowned. Impossible. Humans are extinct. Yet the signal continued, steady and strong. The sound echoed through every comm channel. We are returning. At first, no one believed it. The Galactic Council thought it was a hoax, maybe an old beacon from a forgotten war. But as hours passed, more outposts began to detect the same message, from different directions. The source wasn't one beacon. It was many. Across hundreds of systems, identical signals pulsed like a heartbeat, and every one of them pointed to the same coordinates, a dead region of space known only as the Dark Expanse. The Council called an emergency session. 12 species, 12 rulers, gathered inside a vast crystal chamber, orbiting the star Vion 4. The Zelthian speaker tapped his claws nervously against the table. If this signal truly belongs to the Terrans, he said, then history has lied to us, the Varn ambassador hissed, her silver eyes wide. The humans destroyed themselves. Their homeworld burned. Everyone knows this. The hall fell silent. Old memories stirred. Legends of a violent race that once reshaped galaxies. Humanity. The species that had built wonders and weapons beyond understanding. 10,000 years ago, they vanished after something called the Great Silence. No one ever found their remains. No wrecks, no graves, just empty space, and now, a voice from nowhere said they were returning. The Council dispatched a fleet to investigate. 5 ships, led by the exploration cruiser Solon Prime, jumped toward the source of the signal. The journey took 4 days through hyperspace corridors few dared to use. When they emerged, the stars looked wrong. The light felt colder here. Coordinates confirmed, said the navigator. Signal originates from the system. The captain stared out into the void. There's nothing here, but the scanners said otherwise. Something massive was hiding just beyond their sensors. The crew launched a probe. It vanished the moment it crossed a certain distance. No explosion, no debris. Just gone, then the signal stopped. For a moment there was only silence. Then every system aboard every ship flickered, went dark, and rebooted on its own. A single word appeared on every display: home. Panic spread across the fleet. The Solon Prime's communications filled with alarmed voices. Unknown interference. Artificial gravity fluctuating. Shields offline. And then they saw it. From the shadows of the void, a shape emerged. A sphere, vast, black, and perfectly smooth, slowly rotated, absorbing light like a hole in space. Its surface shimmered, reflecting faint blue lines that looked almost like city lights beneath water. The captain whispered, "Is that a planet?" No one answered. The sphere pulsed once, sending a soft wave of energy through space. Every ship's sensors overloaded. Data screens flooded with impossible readings. Gravitational signatures, radiation traces, temporal distortions, and deep inside the signal, hidden within the static, a second message played. To those who listen, you were never meant to find us. Then the sphere vanished. No flash, no jump. It simply folded out of existence, leaving behind a shock wave that pushed the fleet backward like a tidal wave. When systems stabilized, the signal was gone. The Council received the recordings hours later. The evidence was undeniable. The signal's encryption matched Terran military codes used before the Great Silence. Worlds across the galaxy reacted with fear. Markets crashed. Religious orders called it prophecy. Militaries went on alert. The humans, the ghosts of history, were alive, and no one knew what they wanted. Dr. Silin of the Zelosian Historical Institute was the first to speak to the media. A thin, blue-skinned scholar, he stood before a crowd of reporters, his voice calm but trembling. "If humanity has returned," he said, "then everything we know about our past is wrong. They were not destroyed. They were hiding, and they have chosen this moment to reveal themselves." When asked why now, Silin had no answer. But deep in his mind, he felt something ancient stirring. the same fear his ancestors must have felt when humans once walked among the stars. Meanwhile, somewhere far beyond the reach of the Council, within the dark expanse, the black sphere reappeared. Inside it was not a planet, but something else, an artificial world built by hands long forgotten, a massive structure orbiting a pale blue world at its center, Earth, silent, preserved, waiting. Around it floated countless dark ships, motionless and cold. Their hulls were made of strange living metal, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. Then one by one their lights turned on. A voice spoke within the sphere, calm and human. Beacon has been triggered. Observation phase complete. Authorization granted to begin return protocol. Across the hidden fleet, engines began to glow. The silence of 10,000 years ended. On the Council world, alarms flared again. The listening posts picked up a new signal, stronger, sharper, and terrifyingly close. The message repeated only one sentence. This system is under Terran jurisdiction. Do not interfere. Panic erupted. Fleets were scrambled. Messages flew between worlds. Every empire, every ruler now faced the same question. If Earth had been concealed for so long, what had it been doing all this time? And why, after thousands of years, had it decided to return now? The galaxy had forgotten humans, but humans had not forgotten the galaxy. The galaxy could not sleep. Every news screen, every public broadcast, every council meeting showed the same haunting image. The black sphere and the single word it left behind. Home. People whispered on every world. Some said the Terrans had evolved beyond flesh, that they had become machines of pure thought. Others said they were gods returning to judge their children. And some simply prayed. The council chamber on Vion 4 was filled again. 12 species, 12 terrified leaders. The speaker of the council, an ancient being named Valor, looked older than ever. His silver crest shimmered faintly under the lights. We have confirmed, he said quietly, that the signal originates from the Sol system. The room went still. That name had not been spoken in 1,000 generations. It was the name of humanity's home, Earth, the world lost to myth. The Dravari diplomat's voice trembled. That system was destroyed during the cataclysm. It cannot exist. Dr. Silon, the historian, stood at the edge of the table. His blue skin was pale under the light. It exists, he said, and it was never destroyed. It was hidden. Murmurs spread through the chamber. The word hidden carried weight. Silon activated a hologram. It showed the galaxy, a vast swirl of light and color, then zoomed into a small dark sector near the galactic rim. Look here, he said. Gravitational readings are inconsistent. There's a massive distortion field, large enough to hide an entire system. The diplomat stared in disbelief. You're saying the humans cloaked their world? Someone asked. Silon nodded slowly. Yes. And they did it perfectly. We never even knew it was there. The council voted to send a larger fleet. 5 ships had already vanished or gone silent in the previous mission. This time they sent 50. Warships, explorers, science vessels, the best each species had. The mission was called Operation Dawnlight. Every empire wanted answers. Every soldier felt fear. The fleet emerged from hyperspace near the dark expanse. Before them, the stars looked wrong again, twisted, almost alive. Admiral Reth, a reptilian commander with scarred scales, stood on the bridge of the flagship Vindicator. All ships, hold formation. We proceed slowly. The fleet's scanners swept the void, nothing, just blackness. Then appeared a ripple. A small pulse of energy appeared ahead like a drop of ink in water. Then another. The distortion grew, bending starlight like heat over metal. And then it cleared. Gasps filled the bridge. A star system appeared from the dark, bright, whole, and impossibly familiar. A yellow sun, planets orbiting in perfect silence. And in the third orbit from the star, a blue world, Earth. It was beautiful. Too beautiful. Oceans glittered under sunlight. Green continents spread like emeralds, but around the planet hung thousands of black ships, motionless and cold, like statues guarding a sacred temple. My stars, whispered a crew member. It's alive. The Admiral ordered scans. No sign of energy output, reported a technician. But at least the readings are strange. The planet is generating a cloaking field by itself. It's like the atmosphere is woven with technology. The admiral frowned. That's impossible. But the data did not lie. Human technology, ancient but still active, surrounded the planet like an invisible shield. The Council fleet transmitted a greeting. No reply, they sent a second message. Still silence, hours passed. The fleet waited, watching the quiet planet below. Then suddenly the air shimmered. A shape formed in orbit. A massive object sliding out of the void. It was a ship bigger than anything the Council had ever built. Its hull was black as midnight, but patterns of faint blue light ran across it like veins of energy. Letters appeared on its side. Old human text translated by ancient databases. TSS Invictus. Invictus, whispered Admiral Reth. That name means unconquered. The ship moved with slow, graceful power. It dwarfed the Council fleet completely. Without warning, the fleet's communications lit up. A voice spoke, deep, calm, unmistakably human. This is Terran Defense Command. You have entered restricted space. Identify yourselves. The Admiral froze. For a moment, no one spoke. Then he found his voice. This is Admiral Reth of the Galactic Council. We come in peace. There was silence. Then the voice answered, peace is earned, not declared. Why are you here? Reth hesitated. We detected your signal. We believed Earth was destroyed. The reply was simple. Belief is not truth. Then the channel cut. Inside the Council chamber light years away, the broadcast echoed through the air. Every leader stared at the screen. The voice they had just heard, smooth, confident, and human, had sent a shiver through all of them. The Terrans were alive, and they had technology that defied every known law of science. Dr. Silent watched the transmission replay in silence. His thoughts raced. If the humans could hide their entire system, if they could reappear at will, what else could they do? He turned to his assistant. Prepare the archives, he said. Search every ancient file about pre-Silence humanity. I want to know why they vanished. The assistant nodded nervously. Do you think they'll attack? Silent didn't answer. He looked at the frozen image of the TSS Invictus on his screen. Its design was strange, organic yet mechanical. Like something grown, not built, no, he said softly. I think they're watching. In the Sol system, the Invictus continued its silent orbit. Inside, machines older than civilizations awakened from sleep. Holographic displays filled with data. AI cores came online. A voice echoed through the control chamber, synthetic but filled with human tone. Observation complete. External contact verified. Awaiting prime directive response. Another voice, calm and commanding, answered, Maintain concealment. Begin stage 2. Let them remember who we are. The stars outside shimmered. One by one, the black ships around Earth powered up. Their lights burned like blue fire in the void. To the Council fleet, it looked like the awakening of gods. On the Vindicator, alarms screamed. Power surges detected across the human fleet. They're locking scans on us. Admiral Reth raised his hand. Hold position. Do not engage. Every eye on the bridge stared at the main screen. The Invictus moved closer, passing above them like a mountain of steel and light. As it turned, its massive engines glowed brighter than suns, and then in an instant all systems on the Council ship shut down. Darkness. Silence. A single message appeared on every screen. Do not fear. We remember you. Then the lights returned. The Terran ships were gone. Only the quiet planet below remained. Back in the Council chamber, fear turned into chaos. Some demanded war. Others begged for peace. But everyone knew one thing. Humanity had not returned by accident. They had planned this, and if they had chosen now to reappear, then something far greater was coming. The stars above Earth shimmered like cold diamonds, reflected in the silent hulls of thousands of dark ships. For days they had drifted without motion, patient and quiet like hunters waiting for the signal. Then it came. A low pulse moved through space, a rhythm older than any living empire. Every Terran ship answered at once. Lights flared across the fleet, forming lines and symbols visible even from orbit. To the alien observers, it looked like a constellation coming alive. The voice that had once spoken to the Council fleet returned, clear and steady. Phase 2 complete. Awakening protocol engaged. Inside the TSS Invictus, machines stirred. Vast corridors came alive with warm light. Human footsteps echoed for the first time in millennia. They were not ghosts. They were not myths. They were people, pale, calm, and human. Their uniforms were black and simple, each marked with a silver emblem of a rising sun. They moved with quiet purpose, checking systems, preparing for something greater than war. Their leader, a tall woman with gray eyes, stood at the central command deck. Her name was Commander Ilara Voss. She looked at the holographic display of the Sol system, her expression unreadable. 10,000 years, she whispered, and they still fear us. Far away, the Council fleet struggled to regain full power. The systems that had shut down when the human fleet activated were slowly returning. Admiral Reth's claws tapped against the command rail as he stared at the distant blue world. "Are they attacking?" asked his aide. Reth shook his head. "No, they're waking up." The Admiral turned to his officers. "Send another message. Request dialogue. Tell them we seek only understanding." The communications officer nodded and transmitted the signal. There was no reply. Instead, the Invictus moved again. Slow, deliberate, unstoppable. It positioned itself directly between Earth and the alien fleet. From its underside, a ring of golden light expanded outward, covering the entire planet in a shimmering field. Reth frowned. "What are they doing?" The sensors answered with a burst of data. The energy signature was unlike anything known, part radiation, part gravitational shift. Earth's entire biosphere was being scanned, reactivated, and healed at once. The humans were repairing their world. On the planet's surface, deep below the clouds, vast cities began to glow. They had been buried beneath jungles, oceans, and dust for ages. Now they rose again, their towers piercing through the mist like fingers of glass and steel. Robotic drones swarmed through the air, rebuilding, restoring. Oceans cleared, forests shimmered with new light. It was as if Earth itself took a deep breath after a long sleep. Animals returned from hibernation vaults. Weather patterns stabilized. Even the magnetic field pulsed stronger, wrapping the world in a protective embrace. Above it all, the Terran fleets watched in silence, guardians watching their rebirth. Dr. Silent received the footage from the fleet's probes. He stared at the images in disbelief. "They never died," he said softly. "They preserved themselves, and their world." His assistant leaned closer. "But why now? Why wake up after so long?" Silent's eyes narrowed. "Because something changed. Either they've finished preparing, or something has found them." He turned to his console and opened an old archive, one written in human script. It was a fragment from a lost Terran record, dated before the Great Silence. The final line read, "Project Eden, seal Earth until the outer threat passes." Silent felt a chill. They were hiding. From someone. Back at the council chamber, chaos was rising again. News reports flooded every channel. Human structures detected, Earth restored, Terran fleet moving. Panic spread through worlds that had never known fear. Empires began to fortify borders. Armies were mobilized. Old weapons rusted from peace were reactivated, but none dared attack. Everyone remembered the fate of the First Fleet that had tried to approach Earth. A single word on their screens, home, and then silence. The council speaker addressed the galaxy. "We must not provoke them. The Terrans were once our allies. Let us hope they remain so." But in the corners of the galaxy, darker whispers grew. Some believed humanity had returned to reclaim the stars. Others believed they had come to judge them. On the Invictus, Commander Voss stood before the viewing window. Earth filled the glass, a jewel reborn. Behind her, a man approached. His voice was old, mechanical, yet kind. "Commander," said the AI overseer, "all systems report readiness. The planetary network is restored. The shield grid is stable." "And the council fleet?" she asked, observing, cautious. Ilara nodded. "Good. Let them watch." She paused, eyes distant. "Transmit message, Theta 9. It's time the galaxy remembers what humanity stood for." Moments later, every communication system across the nearby sectors lit up. A transmission spread like wildfire, overriding all frequencies. It carried a calm human voice, hers. "To all civilizations hearing this, we are the descendants of Earth. We left not in defeat, but in choice. We withdrew to protect what was ours and what was yet to come. Do not fear our return, but do not test it either." The message ended with a symbol, an ancient Terran emblem. a rising sun above a world wrapped in light. On alien worlds, billions watched the transmission. Some wept, some cheered, and some trembled. For the first time in millennia, every empire looked toward the same point in space, the Sol system. And they knew the center of the galaxy's power had shifted. Meanwhile, far beyond the edge of the Milky Way and the dark between galaxies, something stirred. Sensors on the Invictus picked up faint gravitational waves, rhythmic and unnatural. The AI spoke again. External anomaly detected. Origin unknown. Pattern matches pre-silence threat markers. Commander Voss's eyes hardened. So it begins again. She turned toward the fleet map. Thousands of Terran ships adjusted formation, their engines flaring bright. Every vessel pointed outward toward the endless dark. Signal the defense grid, she ordered. Wake the colonies. The shadows are moving. The Invictus's engines roared, their light washing over Earth's surface like dawn breaking after endless night. And in that moment, the galaxy understood. Humanity's return was not an invasion. It was a warning. The galaxy had seen many things. Worlds had been born and destroyed. Civilizations had risen and fallen. But never had the stars felt so small. Every broadcast still played the same human message. Do not fear our return, but do not test it either, simple words, calm voice. But to the rulers of the galaxy they were thunder. The Galactic Council chamber was chaos. Leaders shouted over one another, arguing, demanding answers. The room that once symbolized peace now echoed with fear. The speaker, Valor, slammed his staff on the floor. Silence. The voices stopped, but the fear remained. The Council's great holoscreen displayed the Sol system, now bright, active, alive. Thousands of human ships patrolled the area. Even their smallest vessels outmatched the Council's finest warships. Valor's voice was steady, but his eyes showed the weight of dread. We must understand what they are planning, he said. Humanity was once a member of this council. They left without warning. They returned with power beyond imagination. Why? No one answered. Finally, Dr. Silent stepped forward. He carried a small data core in his hand. Because they were never gone, he said quietly. They were watching. The council turned toward him. Silent activated the core and a holographic timeline appeared. 10,000 years of history. He pointed to a narrow gap between eras. Here. The Great Silence. This is when they vanished. He pressed a command. The hologram zoomed into that ancient age. Human colonies spread across the stars, fleets glowing like suns. Then suddenly everything disappeared. Every human signal stopped at once, Silent said. But now I believe they didn't die. They withdrew. The hologram changed again, showing faint traces of energy fields cloaking barriers. Gravitational walls spread through empty sectors of space. They hid entire systems, Silent continued. Their technology could bend space itself. They concealed not just Earth, but other colonies. They became invisible to the rest of us, Valor frowned. For what purpose? Silent hesitated. To wait. Or to survive. The room grew silent. Then the Varn ambassador hissed. You speak as if they were gods. No, Silent replied. I speak as a historian. But gods or not, they have returned and they bring knowledge of what lies beyond our galaxy. The council froze. Beyond, Valor repeated. Silent nodded slowly. There are records, whispers of something that came from the dark between galaxies, something the humans fought before they vanished. On the outer rim world of Illyria, panic turned to unrest. Citizens demanded protection from the Terran threat. Old religions began to awaken, preaching the prophecy of the returners, beings who would decide which races would survive the next era. Armies gathered. Fleets mobilized. But still, no one dared cross into Terran space. The humans did not expand. They did not attack. They simply waited, silent, rebuilding. Back aboard the TSS Invictus, Commander Ilara Voss stood before a wide viewing screen. Outside, the Terran fleets glided in formation around Earth, their lights glowing like stars. Her AI companion, known only as Guardian, spoke softly. External observation shows 53 council vessels in nearby sectors. None approach. None retreat. They're afraid, Ilara said. Fear can be useful, Guardian replied. She turned toward the control console. No. Fear spreads, and fear leads to war. That is not our purpose, Guardian's tone lowered. Then what is our purpose, Commander? Ilara stared at Earth below. To prepare. They don't know what's coming. But we do, Dr. Silent couldn't sleep. The image of Earth haunted his mind, the blue glow, the ships, the calm voice of the Terrans. He kept reading the old archive he had found earlier. Project Eden. It spoke of an outer threat, something vast and endless, capable of devouring stars. The last line burned in his thoughts. If the dark returns, we shall rise again. He sent a private message to the council speaker. I need access to restricted files from the Orion War archives. Humanity may have left us clues. Aboard the Vindicator, Admiral Reth and his crew watched from a distance as Terran ships continued to move in perfect patterns. Each motion looked like a message, each formation like a ritual. Admiral, said his communications officer, we've intercepted a data stream. It's coming from Earth, but it's not aimed at us. Show me. On the screen appeared thousands of data packets, each encrypted in ancient human code. They weren't directed toward any known system. They were being broadcast into deep space beyond the galaxy. Who are they talking to? The officer whispered. Reth stared at the endless flow of signals. Not to us, he said softly. They're calling someone or something. Meanwhile, in the shadowed halls of the council, fear was turning into plans. A secret meeting gathered. Only 6 of the 12 council members. They called themselves the Preservation Bloc. The humans are too dangerous, one said. Their power could unbalance the galaxy, another added. We must contain them. Valor's image flickered on a holo projector. Contain? He asked. You would go to war with them? War is the language they understand, hissed the Varn representative. If we act first, we control the future. Valor sighed. You don't understand. If we attack, there will be no future. But fear is not easily silenced. Plans were made in secret. Fleets began to move under the cover of training exercises. Weapons that hadn't been fired in centuries were rearmed. In Terran orbit, Guardian detected it first. Commander. Multiple council fleets moving in coordinated patterns. Probability of hostility, 73%. Ilara didn't look surprised. Let them come. They will learn soon enough why we remained hidden. Guardian's tone sharpened. Should we engage? Ilara shook her head. No, we show them truth, not fear. Send a message to their fleets. Let it be recorded. The Invictus powered its long-range transmitter. Every ship in nearby space received the same broadcast. To those who prepare for war, stand down. We remember the age when we stood beside you, not above you. You built your peace upon our absence. We built our silence upon your survival. Do not mistake either as weakness. The message ended. No threats. No demands. Just words and the weight of history behind them. Back in the council chamber, Valor listened to the message again and again. Each time he felt the same thing, a strange mix of awe and shame. Humanity's words were not cruel, not proud. They were tired. Perhaps, Valor whispered, we are the ones who changed. Not them. Dr. Silent nodded beside him. They left to save us, and now they've returned because something worse is coming. Worse? Yes, Silent said. The dark between galaxies. It's moving again. In the deep black beyond the galactic rim, sensors hidden since the first age came alive. Something vast was stirring in the void. Something that fed on light, on life, on the warmth of suns. On the Invictus, Guardian displayed new readings. Contact. External threat signature confirmed. Distance. 3 million light-years enclosing. Ilara's voice was calm, but her eyes were steel. Then the time for hiding is over. Outside, the Terran fleets began to shift formation again. This time they faced outward, toward the approaching dark. Massive energy fields unfolded, forming a shield wall across the edge of the system. The light of human ships spread like dawn across the void. And somewhere, beyond the edge of known space, something answered. A pulse of black energy echoed back, ancient, hungry, and cold. The war that ended 10,000 years ago was about to begin again. The galaxy held its breath. Every sensor, every probe, every pair of eyes watched the dark between the stars. It was coming. No one knew what it truly was, only that it was vast, silent, and devouring. But only the Terrans had seen it before. High above Earth, the TSS Invictus hung motionless. From its hull, soft blue light rippled across space, waves of energy that shielded nearby planets. The Terran fleets were no longer hidden. They stood like a wall of steel and fire between the galaxy and the void. Commander Ilara Voss stared at the data feed. Her reflection shone faintly on the glass, a tired face but eyes burning with purpose. "Guardian," she said quietly, "is the signal confirmed?" "Yes," replied the AI. "The anomaly matches the one recorded before the fall. The enemy is the same." "Then our silence was not in vain," Alara whispered. "We bought the galaxy 10,000 years of peace." Guardian's tone lowered. "And now it ends." On the distant world of Velth Prime, panic spread. The Council had declared a state of cosmic emergency. Planets were evacuating. Fleets scrambled to form defensive lines, but nothing they built could match Terran power. Dr. Silent watched the news from a balcony overlooking the city. He saw people praying, others shouting, some simply staring at the stars. He had spent his life studying the past, but now he was watching history return. A message blinked on his console. He opened it, expecting Council orders. Instead, it was from an unknown channel. "We remember you, Silent. Come to the relay station at Arcus 9. Time is short." The signature was old. Terran encryption, ancient but perfect. He hesitated only for a moment before whispering, "Earth is calling," and then he left. The relay station at Arcus 9 floated above a dying red star. It was silent, abandoned for centuries, but as Silent's shuttle approached, the lights turned on one by one as if welcoming him. When he stepped inside, he saw a single hollow projector glowing. A woman's face appeared, calm, ageless, and human. "Dr. Silent," she said, "I am Astra, an AI custodian of the Terran archives. You have searched for truth your entire life. Now you must protect it." "Protect it?" he asked. "The darkness that comes feeds on knowledge, on light, on creation. You must carry the message to the Council. Do not fight us. Stand with us, or all will fall." The transmission flickered and Silent's heart pounded. "What is it, Astra? What are we facing?" The AI paused, then answered in a voice barely above a whisper. "They are called the Ecliptics. They are not life. They are hunger. They devour stars. And they are older than your galaxy." Meanwhile, at the edge of the Milky Way, the Terran fleets moved with precision. Massive ships aligned into concentric rings. New energy signatures emerged, structures being built in orbit, glowing like white fire. Alien observers recorded everything, but even the best minds couldn't explain what they were seeing. "They're creating a barrier?" one officer asked aboard a Council ship. "No," replied another. "It's something else. It's alive." The Terran Aegis wall spread like a web of light connecting ship to ship. Inside the web, space seemed to ripple as if the galaxy itself was breathing. On the Invictus, Guardian reported, "Aegis formation complete. Energy field stable." Alara nodded. "Then let's wake the sleepers." In distant systems, deep below frozen moons and quiet worlds, ancient Terran bunkers opened. Blue light poured from their depths as dormant machines reawakened. Old ships, forgotten relics from the First War, rose again. Their names appeared in white letters across Terran command screens. TSS Resolute, TSS Horizon, TSS Echo of Dawn, humanity's ghosts had returned. Dr. Silent reached the Council chamber breathless. "You must listen to me," he shouted. "They're not our enemy." Phalor turned tired and grim. "You have proof?" "Yes," Silent said. "They're defending us from the Ecliptics. The Terrans fought them once before. The reason they vanished was to recover. To prepare for this, the chamber erupted in disbelief. "Stories. Old myths," shouted a Varn delegate. "You expect us to trust them?" Silent slammed the data core onto the table. "Then trust your eyes." He activated the recording. Terran ships forming their barrier, their signals broadcasting warnings of an approaching shadow. The data didn't lie. A wave of energy, dark and cold, was already crossing the void. "If we don't unite," Silent said, "this galaxy dies." Back in Terran command, Alara watched as the outermost sensors flickered. Something vast was arriving, like a storm of shadow-eating light. Whole stars dimmed as the Ecliptics entered the galaxy. "Guardian," she said. "Status." Contact confirmed. Multiple energy masses exceeding planet scale. Estimated time to collision, 40 hours. "Then this is it," Alara whispered. "The war that ended the First Age." She turned to her officers. "Transmit to all Council frequencies. No encryption." The broadcast echoed across the stars. "This is Commander Alara Voss of the Terran Sovereign Fleet. We do not seek war with you, but the dark returns. Stand with us or watch your worlds fall to silence." Across the galaxy, the message spread, appearing on every screen, every comlink, every broadcast tower. Millions watched in silence. For the first time in ages, the galaxy was united not by fear of each other, but by fear of the unknown. And for the first time in 10,000 years, the Terrans were not the forgotten. They were the light in the darkness once again. As the final hours approached, the stars at the galactic edge began to vanish, swallowed by the advancing shadow. But the humans did not retreat. They advanced. Thousands of ships moved in perfect formation, engines blazing like suns. Their shields shimmered, their weapons charged. Alara stood before her crew. "They call us ghosts," she said softly. "Then let the galaxy see what ghosts can do." Guardian's voice followed, quiet but steady. "Then may the stars remember us." The Terran fleets ignited and the void lit up like dawn. Far away, Dr. Silent watched from the council balcony as the first flashes appeared across the sky, tiny sparks growing brighter and brighter. He felt tears in his eyes. "They came back," he whispered. "They really came back." Valor stood beside him. "And now," he said, "so must we." He turned to his aides. "Send the order. All fleets, join them." The galaxy that once feared humanity now followed their lead. Old enemies flew side by side. Ships of every color and design formed lines beside the Terrans. And for the first time since history began, the stars stood together, but deep within the shadow, the ecliptic stirred. Shapes larger than moons drifted through the dark, millions of them. And from their ranks, a single immense form began to rise. Its surface was black as space, its eyes burning like dying suns. Guardian whispered, "Primary entity detected. It's awake." Alara clenched her fists. "Then so are we." The Terran fleets advanced once more. The light of humanity shone across the stars, defying the dark and reminding the galaxy of what it had forgotten. That even when hidden for thousands of years, Earth still rises. The galaxy trembled. The darkness had arrived. Across the star map, systems went silent one by one. The ecliptics were not an army, they were a storm. They did not invade. They consumed. Stars dimmed. Worlds froze. Life itself faded wherever they passed. And yet, in the middle of that spreading night, one light still burned. Earth. The Terran fleet stood at the edge of the galaxy, engines glowing like suns. Thousands of ships locked into position around the Aegis barrier. Humanity had built this shield not to conquer, but to protect. Now it was the last line between creation and oblivion. Commander Alara Voss watched the tactical display. Each red mark represented an ecliptic mass approaching at impossible speed. Her voice was calm, though her heart beat like thunder. "Guardian, report. Enemy contact in 2 minutes. Energy readings off scale. Estimated size of primary entity, 5 times Earth's moon." Alara took a slow breath. "Then we hold here. Until the last ship?" "Acknowledged," the AI replied quietly. The first wave hit. Space itself screamed. Black tendrils of energy struck the Terran wall, bending light and time. Shields flared blue-white, entire cruisers shaking under the impact. But they held. Laser beams and plasma cannons cut through the void, carving into the enemy. The ecliptic shattered into fragments, only to reform seconds later, growing stronger. The sky burned with light and shadow locked in endless struggle. From across the galaxy, alien fleets arrived one by one. The Varn dreadnoughts, the Kylothian star arcs, the Xylosian ring ships, each joining the Terrans, their weapons blazing beside human fire. In the council chamber, Speaker Valor broadcasted live to all worlds. "This is not the war of one race," he declared. "This is the stand of all life. Follow Earth. Follow the light." Billions watched as the stars became a battlefield of hope. Dr. Silent stood aboard the Arcus station, decoding ancient Terran data. Among the files, he found a phrase, simple but powerful. "When the dark returns, the light must be won." He activated the relay systems, transmitting the code to every fleet. The data merged with Terran systems, unlocking new energy patterns across their ships. "Ilara," Guardian reported, "receiving ancient signal. Protocol soul flare. Authorization accepted." Ilara looked up sharply. "Activate it." From Earth's orbit, massive constructs began to unfold, old machines sleeping for millennia. They connected with the Terran barrier, forming a radiant sphere of golden light. The soul flare network, a weapon not of destruction but of unity. It drew power from every allied ship, every reactor, every spark of energy across the galaxy. Billions of stars pulsed in rhythm. Guardian's voice echoed through the fleet. Power at 92%. Once initiated, the barrier will expand across the galactic rim. It will destroy the ecliptics. But the Terran fleet will not survive inside. Alara's hand trembled for only a moment. Then she smiled. Then it's a good death. The ecliptic mass loomed ahead, an enormous black shape blotting out the stars. Its voice was not sound but vibration, felt in every mind. We are hunger. We are the end. Alara stared at the darkness and whispered, "Then meet the beginning." She turned to her crew. "All ships, prepare for soul-flare ignition." Every officer stood silent, knowing what it meant. No one turned away. They had waited 10,000 years for this moment. The moment humanity would rise again, not to conquer, but to save. Ignition in 3, 2, 1. The galaxy exploded with light. White gold fire burst from the Terran fleet, spreading outward in waves. The Aegis barrier transformed into a sea of radiant energy, washing across the stars. Ecliptic masses screamed and disintegrated, their dark forms dissolving in the brilliance. Every ship, Terran and alien alike, shone like a sun. The night was gone. For the first time in forever, there was only light. From the council world, billions watched the sky. They saw the darkness vanish. They saw the stars return, brighter than ever before. And they saw the last Terran transmission, a single message broadcast across the universe. We are not gods. We are guardians, and the light of Earth will never fade. Then the signal ended. For hours, the galaxy was silent. Then one by one, ships began reporting survivors. The barrier had collapsed, but some vessels, Terran and alien, remained. Commander Alara Voss's flagship Invictus was gone, but her message lived on every screen, every world, every heart. Dr. Silent stood beneath a clear night sky on Velth Prime. For the first time in his life, the stars seemed closer. "They did it," he whispered. "They really saved us." Valor nodded beside him. "No," he said. "They saved everyone." Years passed. The galaxy rebuilt, and on a quiet night near the ruins of old Earth's orbit, a beacon came alive. It pulsed faintly, sending out a repeating message, soft, endless, full of hope. Humanity endures. We are watching. We are waiting. For the next dawn, the galaxy had once forgotten Earth, but now, whenever they looked at the stars, they remembered. Because even after thousands of years in silence, when darkness returned, it was humanity who became the light.